So at this time, I'm just peeking ahead into the future. I'm really enjoying listening to your story and how it unfolded. Did you have any idea at this time that you were interested in triathlons, or is that something that didn't show up until later in your life?
Totally. So completely later.
Okay.
Basically, what happened was I had one really, really bad night in the hospital, and I believed that I was not going to make it out of the hospital, and I did. And I decided we had to do something different. So I started physically, I did a whole bunch of stuff, but physically and business-wise, I started doing yoga. My wife is and was a yoga instructor, so I was doing some yoga.
Mm-hmm.
I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now, and a lot of that was just sort of inflammation and just awfulness. So I started, believe it or not, with the Wii Fit.
Yeah.
So the Wii Fit, which is the Nintendo thing, has like the fitness program, and it's actually not bad if you're really out of shape and really don't know what to do and you want to just do something at home, and it kind of gets you motivated. And then because I had been working out,
mm-hmm.
and but not really having any effects, and one of which was that I was on systemic steroids for a long time, and I was lifting in the gym like an animal, because not so much because it wasn't anabolic steroids, of course,
right.
But I was just angry, and I was like
yeah.
getting it out, and I was moving just ridiculous weights by comparison of what I do now.
Yeah.
But I wasn't looking good. I was just getting like big and puffy and inflamed.
Right.
Now, so after the Wii Fit, I decided I was like, all right, I'm going to take this to the next level. I want to get extreme. And I got the Insanity DVD series.
Awesome.
Which was awesome. And I lost 22 pounds in 2 months.
Wow.
And really started the path to fitness. And the triathlon thing sort of came out really randomly. Basically, I decided to become an EMT. Mm-hmm. And I went to get trained as an EMT, which is a 6-month program, basically. And I met a guy who was in his early 40s and was a triathlete, and basically convinced me to do it.
Okay.
And he's like, you're gonna love it. You're type A, like you're gonna train for this, and
mm-hmm.
it's gonna be a really good goal for you. And I was like, great, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I like how one thing leads to the next. That's similar to what I see with a lot of people, and unraveling all those different stories to find out how you've become the person you are today. I find really fascinating.
Yeah, and I still hate running. I was I was on the track team for 6 years in junior high and high school, but I was a sprinter. I never did anything longer than 200 meters, and I liked that, but that was sort of my limit. Mm-hmm. And I was always into biking, loved biking, but and swimming was totally not my thing. Like I love the water, but I was never ever a good swimmer. Mm-hmm. So the idea of doing the triathlon was just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, I'll do it just to try to finish it. But it really put me on an amazing path of not only training my ass off, but just discipline with my body.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Now, I want to go back up a little bit. I know you probably speak about this all the time, but both from my perspective as a physician who's interested in nutrition and a triathlete and a triathlon coach, I'd like to go back and hear how you approached changing your nutrition. So we kind of skipped over a big chunk of dealing with your Crohn's, and I think that's a big part of not necessarily who you are, but your pathway, how you got from your diagnosis in 2006 to becoming an EMT and doing Insanity. That's a big leap right there. You went through a process of looking into nutrition and other ways to reduce stress and inflammation, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. So there was fitness, nutrition, and supplements. And then, the whole less doing thing was the stress component, which came later. But so for the nutrition thing, basically that was also like just sort of shot in the dark. And I got lucky that I found the right path to start on. And then it was, sort of a much more educated process from there. But basically, I had one incident in the hospital where I had an obstruction. And again, for people who don't know, one of the biggest issues with Crohn's is that you get scarring in your digestive tract, usually in your large intestines and
mm-hmm.
your small intestines too. And food, if you get those strictures, you're going to get narrowing, and food can actually get stuck. But your body doesn't care that there's food stuck. It wants to get it out. And It's still, peristalsis keeps going, and it really is just massively painful. And if it is truly stuck, then that's when you have to have surgery. Mm-hmm. So one night I woke up, and it was always like this, I'd have dinner and then I'd wake up at 2 a.m. just in horrible pain, and obviously, time of digestion and all that stuff. So I went out for this large barbecue meal. I remember this very clearly. And 2 a.m, woke up and went to the hospital because I was just so much pain. And my doctor, the doctor that I ended up working with for the majority of my case, was amazing. I mean, the guy was he was really, really great. So I was very fortunate.
Yeah, fortunate.
He met me at the hospital and admitted me, and that was the first time I ever had morphine, which totally makes me realize how people can be addicted to heroin, because it was amazing, especially when you're in that much pain. And they put an IV in, and they're fluids, steroids, and then you wait, and you're just waiting. And me and my doctor were talking about what I had eaten. And of all the things that I'd eaten, the meat, the beans, he believed that the salad that I had was probably what had caused the obstruction because of the fibrous nature of the iceberg lettuce. So I, being not completely or not at all nutritionally educated at the time, was like, oh my God, I can't eat greens. I can't eat greens. Absolutely cannot eat greens. So for the next 6 months, I was afraid of lettuce.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was a real process.
We know a lot of people are afraid of lettuce.
Yeah.
but probably for other reasons.
Yeah, but of course I was missing an enormous amount of essential nutrients because of that.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you do? Did you keep feeling worse, or did it help you feel better by avoiding lettuce, or did you just say to yourself one day that you're going to try it and see what happened?
So basically I went on this way for about 6 months, and I was getting sicker and sicker. And then I had that really, really bad incident in the hospital. So I was like, I got to go totally extreme and do something different. So I basically decided to go vegan for about a month, which I have some interesting, I have a lot of thoughts on veganism, and there's a lot of people who poo-poo it and a lot of people who are obsessed with it. I think that a lot of people don't do a vegan diet correctly.
How so?
Honestly. So, you have Brendan Brazier, who's, the famous vegan triathlete. People can do it right and thrive. It's actually, to do it right takes a lot of work.
Yeah. You need to be sure that
I did it for a month, and in retrospect, I didn't do it right, but it wasn't working for me. I was feeling a lot better because essentially for me, it was like an elimination diet. So then I basically was a vegetarian for 6 months, and I decided, screw it. I can't get worse. So I started eating red cabbage and kale and the heartiest stuff possible, and whole grains, bulgur and wheat berry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, I was digesting it fine. And I really believe that the intestines are kind of they are a muscle, and you have to work those muscles. Otherwise they become soft and kind of useless.
Sure. Use it or lose it, right?
Exactly. So I started eating really good foods, and I started feeling a lot better. And after 6 months, I reintroduced fish as my main protein, which, so people might call that a pescatarian diet. And that's basically what I was for the next 3 years, I'd say. And now I eat pretty much, I eat anything I want, but now I know so much more about nutrition, so I can eat healthy. I can make the right choices. It's a lot.